4 Keys to Eternal Happiness. Part 2. Self-Realization. Hi. Through this lecture, you will learn the secrets to living a happy life for a lifetime. Additionally, you will get fundamental healing of body and mind from depression to adult diseases. First key plus second key is self-realization.
I will get less stress if I do what I like, but I will have to give up expensive clothes, cars, and travel because I earn less. Wouldn't that make my life boring?
If you find joy in your daily life rather than consumption, life is not boring. The first key, surviving cost, and the second key, favorite job, are connected. When you combine them, you get self-realization. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Source from Genesis 1:27. Humans were created in the image of God, and the image of God is not a monkey walking on 2 legs, but love and creation. Everyone has a desire for self-realization, and self-realization means all acts of creating new things and helping other living beings. Everyone wants to find the meaning of their life in this world and prove their own worth. Praise breeds willingness. Source from Whaledon. The power of positive relationships. This is because everyone has a desire for self-realization. We can find joy in life through love and creation. Even if you don't have a lot of money, you can live happily for the rest of your life. Self-realization and happiness.
Your words seem to be taken straight from the textbook. Then why in reality are there more people looking for easy things than hard-working people?
The contents of Shigeo Haruyama's book, A Great Revolution in Brainword, can be summarized as follows. The level of human desire increases step by step. When a lower-level desire is satisfied, a higher-level desire becomes stronger. The process of human desire evolution is as follows. 1. When basic physiological needs are met. 2. The needs for safety become stronger, and when these are met. 3rd, the needs for belonging and love become stronger, and when these are met. 4. The needs for recognition become stronger, and when these are met. 5. The needs for self-realization become stronger. To achieve self-realization, it means that you must satisfy the basic needs necessary for survival, but also escape from one-dimensional addictions or dopamine addiction. Even if you don't make a lot of money, if you can do what you want to do, and if you can make enough money to survive, that alone can be a happy life.
But if we satisfy the basic human needs, will the desire for self-realization eventually become stronger?
That is a very important question. Unfortunately, theory and reality do not match always. In reality, people who have their surviving cost and have less work stress are not all happy. This is because human greed is endless. If you walk, you want to buy a bicycle. If you buy a bicycle, you want to buy a motorcycle. If you buy a motorcycle, you want to buy a car. If you buy a car, you want to buy an airplane. That is the human mind. Moreover, human greed does not end with just a car. People desire everything they do not own, such as a large house, overseas travel, expensive dishes, luxury bags, clothes, jewelry, etc. That is why they feel unhappy, even though they have no problem with their survival. The reason human greed is endless is due to illusion. When people are stressed, unnecessary desires become stronger, and when they are satisfied, they can temporarily forget the stress. However, because the source of the stress remains, the desires constantly return. To be happy throughout life, You need to find a balance between your desires and your financial ability. That requires the third key. Resting page. Terrorists occupying the capital. A group of terrorists are occupying the capital. They are demanding the release of their comrades, and they are not forgetting to say this every time.
If our demands are not met, we will release each member of the National Assembly every 5 minutes.
Resting page. I went to my girlfriend's house.
Yesterday, something ridiculous happened. My girlfriend told me to come over because she said no one was home.
Yeah, so keep going.
So, I went to her house and rang the bell. And there really was no one there.
Of course not. You don't have a girlfriend.
The third key. Meaning of addiction.
What should I do if there are a lot of things I want to do and buy, but I don't have enough money?
To find the answer, let's think about the meaning of happiness. Sociologists define happiness as follows. Happiness is the ability to find joy within the boundaries of what you own. Like the physical abilities of athletes that are superior to others or ingenious ideas of Steve Jobs, happiness is a personal ability, not an environmental factor. If this is true, poor people should be happy, but there is a difference between theory and reality. It seems like humans would be happy if they only do what they like and earn enough money to survive, but humans are not satisfied with that alone. This is because humans depend on external factors, material things, people, or travel, and become addicted to them. Let's take a moment here to get the meaning of the word addiction. If you desperately want something even though it is not essential to your survival, that means you are addicted to it. Saints who were free from addictions.
So, what you are saying is that to be happy, I have to break away from one-dimensional desires. Can a normal person do that?
When we look at human history, there were certainly people who were free from one-dimensional desires. However, their numbers were extremely small. The followings are saints who were free from addictions. Greed is a trumpet that calls for suffering. Source from Buddha. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Source from James 1:14. Although Epicurus is known as the founder of hedonism, he actually lived a completely humble and ascetic life. Unlike the Kiranayoi school, which pursued physical pleasure, he achieved eternal happiness by reaching mental peace. He realized long ago the truth that eternal happiness can be achieved when he does not rely on anything. Alexander the Great's teacher was Aristotle. When Alexander conquered Athens, the greatest scholars of the time were gathered there, but none of them had the intelligence of his teacher. The only philosopher Alexander wanted to meet was Diogenes. When Alexander visited Corinth, Diogenes was living in a wooden barrel and practicing non-possession. When Alexander asked Diogenes to tell him what he wanted, Diogenes replied,
Please move to the side a little so you don't block my sunlight.
The following is a conversation between two people as they walk together.
What will you do after you have conquered Greece?
I will conquer Persia.
What will you do after you have conquered Persia?
Then I will conquer India.
Then what will you do after you have conquered India?
After I have conquered India, I will rest.
I have been resting for a long time. Why don't you rest now instead of after you have conquered India?
Problems that addiction causes.
But most people are different from the saints. Almost all people live by satisfying their desires to some extent. So, You mean most people are wrong?
Human greed is endless, so if you depend on other objects, material things or people, you will not be satisfied with them and want more. That is why modern people who are materially rich feel more unhappy than people in the past who were poor. Moreover, happiness relying on other objects brings up many problems. Increasing work stress. You need more money and time to buy the addictive factor. You have to do more difficult work, and as a result, the second key, favorite job, loses its function. Withdrawal symptoms. When the addictive factor is away from you, you become anxious and more depressed than before you became addicted. Deeper addiction. As the addiction gets worse, you have to experience more frequent and stronger stimuli to feel the first joy. When you satisfy a need that is unnecessary for survival, you become addicted to it. And when you become addicted, you lead yourself to suffering. It is the opposite of happiness. Resting page. An amazing suicide. On March 23, 1994, a man named Ronald Opus committed suicide by jumping from a 10-story building in San Diego, USA. Strangely, his body was found not on the ground but hanging on a safety net on the 8th floor. An autopsy by police determined that the direct cause of death was a rifle bullet to the head. If he had shot himself in the head with a rifle before killing himself, there should have been bloodstains, marks, or a gun left around the area, but none of that was found. An elderly couple lived on the 9th floor. The couple had a terrible argument, and the angry husband came up with a gun and shot his wife. The bullet missed her and hit Opus, who was falling there at that moment. The elderly couple claimed that they never kept bullets in the gun and that they had no idea how it was loaded. Police eventually discovered that one of the couple's sons had loaded the gun 6 weeks before the incident. After being fired from his job and his mother had turned her back on him financially, the son remembered his father's habit of shooting his mother with a blank gun and secretly loaded the gun to kill her. 6 weeks passed after loading the bullets. His parents didn't have a fight, and there was no hope of his mother being killed. The son, disappointed, decided to commit suicide from the 10th floor. In other words, the son was Ronald Opus, who committed suicide. The case was ultimately concluded with Opus's suicide. The third key to eternal happiness. Freedom from addiction.
Most people live their lives fulfilling their desires to be happy. What do you think we need to do to be happy?
Happiness relying on some objects: alcohol, cigarette, drug, delicious food, gambling, shopping, travel, video game, friend, relationship, etc., can never last forever. You become a slave of addiction yourself in exchange for the joy of the moment. Here is how to live happily ever after. You can remain in a state of eternal happiness when you do not depend on any object. This is the third key to eternal happiness: freedom from all one-dimensional addictions. The third key has a positive effect on the other keys. You don't have to do much work to survive because your expenses are reduced. It's first key. You can earn enough money for survival just by doing what you love. It's second key. The illusion of being free from addiction.
My hobby was buying fashion items. When I bought clothes, shoes, hats, bags, and necklaces, I felt alive for a moment. In order to enjoy my favorite shopping, I got a good job and worked hard at a job I didn't want to do. The joy of material wealth was short, and the stress from work was long-lasting. There was a vicious cycle of stress. buying more expensive things I didn't even need, working harder to pay off my card bill, and then getting stressed again. After I had my children, I quit my job and started another job I wanted to do. My income was down, so I couldn't afford to buy luxuries anymore. There was a positive side to it. By giving up unnecessary shopping, my expenses decreased, so I no longer had to do work I didn't want to do. Instead, I have another hobby. Whenever I want to buy something expensive, I drink wine. That way, the desire to buy things goes away.
When the mind is empty, most people tend to fill it with material things. It is common to do this by overeating, buying luxury items, or relying on others. The effect of deceiving the mind is only temporary, and they do not acknowledge that they are addicted to shopping. Even when people break free from an addiction, it is common to switch to a new addiction. In order to be happy, you must completely break free from all addictions. All problems can be fundamentally solved by finding the cause. To be happy, you must find the root cause of the addiction. Causes of addiction.
So, you're saying that I'm addicted to shopping and wine. I've thought about why I get addicted, but everyone has one or two things that make them addictive. Is there a particular reason?
To find the answer to that, we need to look at the process of addiction. 1. When people sick or injured, they feel pain. It is a signal from the body to treat their illness. 2. In the early stage before a disease manifests as symptoms, depression or anxiety are felt instead of pain. At this time, people must realize that there is a problem in their body and actively deal with it. 3. However, most people do the opposite. People rely on alcohol, cigarette, stimulating game, shopping, or other people. They forget the signals from their body due to strong stimuli. 4. As time goes by, depression becomes stronger, and people ignore their body's signals while enjoying in stronger stimuli. The reason people become addicted is because they ignore the health warning signals from their body. And the signal that their body sends is depression. For everyone, not just a few rich people, to be happy, we need to be free from addiction and depression. Benefits of freedom from addiction.
Should I break free from all addictions, even if they aren't serious problems like drugs or gambling?
Addiction, which is weak in stimulation or dependence, does not interfere with your life if you enjoy it in moderation. However, if you stay away from all external dependencies, below advantages will follow. You can do only what you like. Earn only the money you need to survive. You can live happily without stress. All the great saints of history have realized this truth, and all modern people know this simple truth, but knowing alone does not change a person. There is a difference knowing the path and walking the path. Source from the Matrix. 2 Reloaded. Most people try to find happiness by relying on other objects. 1. After the pleasure of the addictive factor has passed. 2. They get hurt. 3. They blame the world. 4. They console themselves by thinking that they were just unlucky. 5. And they try to find happiness from outside again and again. It's so hard for people to try to break addictions, but they fail every time or just keep jumping from one addiction to another. Resting page. The facts we don't know. It is impossible to lick your own elbow with your tongue. Crocodiles cannot stick out their tongues. Pigs cannot see the sky. The shrimp's heart is inside its head. More than 50% of the world's population has never used the internet. Rats and horses cannot vomit. The sentence, "Sixth, sick sheik's, sixth sheep's sick," is one of the most difficult sentences in English to pronounce. If you sneeze too hard, you can break your ribs. But if you try to hold back the sneeze, the blood vessels in your throat or head can burst and die. And if you try to force your eyes open when you sneeze, your eyeballs can fall out. Wearing headphones for an hour can increase the number of bacteria in your ears by as much as 700 times. Lighters were developed before matches. 35% of people who place ads looking for a date are married. People eat about 7 types of bugs and 10 spiders without knowing it while they sleep throughout their lives. Cat urine is luminous. Finally, 75% of the people reading this will try to lick their elbows. Why it's hard to break free from addiction.
I've tried to break free from addictions too. I managed to get out of shopping addiction, but then I realized I was addicted to alcohol. Why is it so hard to completely break free from addictions?
The 3 basic needs essential to human survival are as follows: appetite, sleep, and excretion. Other than the needs of survival, all other needs cause unnecessary suffering to human. Some common addictions that people become dependent on include: 1. Shopping addiction. If you buy nice clothes or expensive bags, you may feel good for a moment, but the happiness does not last long. So, you buy more things and have to work harder to earn the money you need. The same goes for traveling. 2. Psychotropic drug addiction. Alcohol, cigarette, and drug. When having fun with friends, the dopamine level is 120. Drinking alcohol, it is 150. A man's orgasm is 240. A woman's orgasm is about 480. When you take drugs, your dopamine level goes up to 1,250. After that, no other stimulus besides drugs releases dopamine. Once you get addicted to drugs, nothing else is enjoyable. 3. Friends, interpersonal relationships. If you give something to someone and expect something in return, you are more likely to get hurt. Freedom is not expecting the consequences of my actions. Source: from Conversations with God. All troubles arise from human relationships. Source: from psychologist Adler. 4. Romance. Attempting to fill an empty heart with the attention of another person is likely to end in hurt and failure. Here is why: no one starts a relationship to give love to someone else. Everyone starts a relationship to be loved. That's why you can't get what you want through a relationship. 5. Gambling. Gambling traps people in the illusion that they can easily make money. This is why it is difficult to quit gambling. The memory of the first experience follows people for the rest of their lives. If they get lucky and win money when they first gamble, they cannot give up the illusion that they are special. It is like a drug, and they cannot quit gambling for the rest of their lives. 6. Video games. Farming in video games can be much easier to get rewards than in real life. When you become addicted to a game, real-life efforts feel more difficult. You want to continue living in the game world. The more you satisfy a need, the stronger it becomes, and as time passes, you gradually become addicted to your dependence, making it harder to escape. Even if you think you have broken away from it, it is common to move on to another dependency. For humans to be happy, they must control their primary desires and be free from addictions. However, reality is not as easy as it sounds. Resisting desires can become a habit, but it does not mean the desires will completely disappear. There is a saying among smokers, "You don't quit smoking, you endure it." It means you can never quit smoking, and all kinds of addictions are like that. That's why you need the last fourth key to get out of the one-dimensional addictions or dopamine addictions. Thank you for attending this lecture. See you in the Part 3.